heels of all this great new music, I feel like it was important for us to have a conversation about other new stuff that's going on.
Yep.
All right. Yes, I know everyone's talking about Kendrick Lamar's GNX.
Yep.
Okay. We had a whole episode about that. So go back and listen to that.
Yep.
If you want our take. Now, let's talk about all the other great music that's out there right now. Well, one thing I do want to talk about is more of a project. It's the new limited audio series that J.Cole and E, president of Dreamville, his business partner, Eve's been with him since day one. They put out this project where they're basically reflecting on different moments of J.Cole's life and career, really to come up. And I love it.
I love it.
And episode 1, by the way, it takes me a while to catch up. Do not judge me. I'm a mother. Yes. Okay? I am holding on by a thread, and I try to listen when I'm doing dishes and I'm cleaning up and losing my mind, right? So one of the points that stood out to me was J. Cole was reminiscing about, you know, his cousin really giving him insight on different music in different parts of the country. Because at that time, Cole, a fan of hip hop, fan of music, loved Tupac. You could tell this is so our era, right?
Right.
Which is why I loved it. His cousin comes along, introduces him to No Limit. And we know No Limit had a whole run. Again, our whole era.
Yes.
So Cole was just reminiscing on this point, like how, you know, he was so determined about his career. He believed in himself so much that he uses the word delusional, which I agree. You do have to be delusional to really get to the places you need to get. But in the story, he talks about how his cousin introduced him to Master P or whatever. And at that time, you would be able to find like the fan mail or like the hotline for your favorite artist, right? So they really called Master P's hotline and they left him a voicemail because Cole had this vision, this idea for Master P's music video and was convinced if he could just tell him what this idea was, that they would love it and they would rock with it. And then they would rock with him as like artists. It was such a great story because it took me back to that time as well. I remember contacting different fan mails, following my favorite artist, caring about what was happening so much. You couldn't tell me I was not going to get to Death Row some way, somehow, to get some type of Tupac shirt.
What a time.
There was nothing you could tell me at that time.
What a time. I loved it.
I have a funny story about that, but I'll share it in a different episode of how much I loved Death Row Records.
Tell us now. Death Row as a whole staff record label.
Of course. It was Death Row all day. So it was, oh my gosh. I want to say, I got to call my friend Janae really quick. I came up with the idea of our group because we were going to be a group.
For Death Row.
And we were going to get signed to Death Row Records. In my head, it's delusion.
It is delusion.
You remember Janae? She actually came to, Janae.
Hi.
I hate to bother you, but you're live on my podcast. Wait, Janae, was it you and I? It was us who came up with our group and we believed we were going to get signed at Death Row Records, right?
Yes.
And our name was D.R.T.C, Death Row Thug Cuties.
Oh my gosh.
This is real.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we were delusional enough to start writing songs like we were going to make it.
That's so cute.
But anyway, Janae, but it was you and me, right? Was there anyone else part of our group?
A couple people came in and out.
Okay, I'm going to call you back when I'm done with this. Okay, I love you. Okay, bye. Bye. Real life.
That's so cute.
So, meaning I understood the moment of J. Cole leaving this voicemail for Master P. Like, I was delusional enough to think that maybe I was going to be a writer for Death Row Records or an artist or whatever I thought. And the name was going to be Death Row Thug Cuties.
At minimum, you were going to be a thug cutie.
Yeah. Now it's just Death Row Cutie. Yeah. As you get older, you understand, like, wait, what am I saying?
Yeah, what was I doing?
But we were kids at that time.
That's so cute.
So, you know, I had a nostalgic moment listening to that. I actually laughed out loud. I was doing dishes at the time. I had my headphones on. And Colin's sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And he thinks I'm losing my mind. Because he always thinks I'm losing my mind at this point in my life, right?
Because you know when you wear your earbuds.
Yeah.
And you can't tell sometimes like what you're doing.
And I'm like, Colin, you have to listen to this. Because I went on inevitable.live.
Yep.
I downloaded.
You paid your $10.
That's right. I didn't ask for a hookup. I don't hit Cole for that. I don't hit Eve for that. No, thank you. It's good.
I paid my $10 too.
That's right. Who are you going to hit up to try to get a hookup?
You.
But we really are fans and
Yeah.
we support, not only great work, but we also support people we care about that are good people. So anyways, I don't know. That moment really stood out to me because of my delusion of wanting
That's cute.
to be in this world as well and to be, in the music space in some way, somehow. And if I knew how to hold a note, I would have been an artist, but I can't. So that's why I do radio. That's the truth.
I love this series. It reminds me of a time when I was first getting into radio, when I was in college.
Yeah.
Like, he's talking about a time in like 2007, 8, 9, 2010.
What a time.
He's talking about such a great era, right? So he dropped The Come Up.
Right.
So the first episode was called The Come Up. And then, perfect rollout, he drops the Come Up mixtape.
Right.
His first mixtape on streaming platforms.
Right. Wow.
A couple episodes later, he has an episode called The Warm Up. He drops The Warm Up on streaming platforms. Now,
Go listen to it.
I will say my favorite ever
Friday Night Lights
was Friday Night Lights. So I'm waiting for that to go on the platforms. But I just remember this time. It was such a great
was a
time for
good
music.
time.
J.Cole, Drake, Nicki. Those are my big three.
Kendrick.
Yeah, but for me, it was J. Cole, Drake, and Nicki were my big three in that era.
Me too.
Nicki just finished Beam Me Up, Scotty, so she just was dropping Pink Friday right at the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
I remember being at the radio station. Nessa was interviewing J. Cole. I groupied myself up there, and I was the only person there watching her interview J. Cole that wasn't on Nessa's team at the time. Nessa was going to interview Nicki Minaj. I groupied my way up there too because I wasn't working with Nessa yet at the time. I wasn't working with you.
No.
But I was at the station. I think I was an intern.
Yeah, I think you thought you were paying your dues at that time.
For a sister.
kidding.
Excuse me. I wish you guys could hear my eyes roll. For a sister, our sister station, I was an intern and I was like, oh shoot, Nicki Minaj is coming. Let me go upstairs.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Beam Me Up, Scotty was my...
Yeah. Here's the thing. Do you think our allegiance to them as, artists is because of that time? Like, I have never given up on Nicki. Yeah. Like, I know over the past couple years, people have counted her out. I think a lot of people in the industry counted her out.
Yeah.
I never counted Nicki out.
She's
ever. And no, Nicki doesn't do any favors for me.
Nope.
Nicki doesn't come sit down, do an interview. We don't, chop it up together or anything like that at all. I'm not saying this from a space of like, that's my friend or we come across each other. I really just like seeing her do well. I really, really do. And I don't know if it's because it's just symbolic of that time.
Yes,
and then
do.
also watching her become a mother, also around the same time as us. I mean, well, her son is a bit older than our kids, right?
Let me see.
Might be the same age as your daughter. But my point is, it's still all around the same time.
He's older than our kids.
Yeah, he's older, but meaning it's still around the same time that you just feel like you've seen, I don't know, something about Nicki, to be honest, who, by the way, dropped 4 new songs as a celebration for the 10-year anniversary of the Pink Print. But, just her love and passion for the game. I mean, it's just, I don't know how to say this. It is so rare.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm coming from a place of, I'm getting vulnerable with my little music takes right now. But it's just different with an artist who cares about their work that much, that takes it that serious. And maybe because I take my work that serious.
Yeah,
and so when you see a woman work so hard and open up doors and break barriers time after time after time and get doubted time after time after time.
Right.
And also swept under the rug.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, time after time and come back relentlessly.
And also...
Relentless.
I don't know if blackball's the right word, but also just straight hated on.
Yeah, and I don't know because we're not in those spaces. Also, we wouldn't be the ones to know because clearly, my husband is blackballed by the NFL. So we're easy to get blackballed, okay? But I'll tell you what, there was a certain energy that I felt like people were going out of their way to make sure Nicki's success didn't continue.
And she talked about it. Nicki talked about it.
Well, yeah, she talked about it. But even like my point is, I didn't need Nicki to even talk about it. Mm-hmm. You could just feel it. I don't know what it was, maybe. And look, to be fair, maybe I was just so used to being a fan of her music that I was waiting for new music. And she did take a little bit of a break, right? So maybe my mind because of everything that's happened to Colin, I immediately jumped to the conclusion that, oh, she's being held back. Someone's hating on her. Right? That could be it, to be honest. But really, she talked about, getting pregnant and like, taking a second to get back to the art and stuff like that. So it could be all these pieces, all that to say, to still see J. Cole doing his thing, to see Nicki doing her thing, to see Drake doing his thing, to see Kendrick doing his thing with his latest album, GNX. I don't know. I just think, to be fair, we are very fortunate enough to see all of this greatness in our time, within our generation.
And I think you're right too, Nessa. I think we are also partial to them because we were there at the beginning of their come up.
Correct.
They were doing their first radio runs. You were hitting them for their first radio interviews. Like even with A$AP Rocky too.
Right.
And the whole,
that's right,
and the whole
Rocky.
mob.
Oh, yes.
Mac
yeah,
Miller.
yeah.
Like you were getting all of them right at the very beginning. So then they mean a little bit something more to us because we feel like this was the beginning of our career. Well, you were on already.
Right.
But it was kind of like the beginning. If you think of the longevity of your career too, right?
You see
This is
people
the
in
beginning
parallel
time.
coming up. Like when I interviewed J. Cole, he wasn't just starting. At this point, he's already moving out here, right? But it's like the beginning on the brink of J. Cole, right? The brink that it's right before that big stage, sold out Barclays back to back or whatever it is, right?
Same with Drake. When you interview Drake, you hustled that interview. You went to his tour in San Francisco.
Wait, was it Davey? Oh my God!
I wasn't there.
Wait,
this is before I started working with you.
Hold on, I think it was Davey.
Davey, by the way, Davey D. He works at the record label, Drake's record label. He was working the records in the Bay Area where we were at, and he's here now working.
No, he's always been in New York.
Well, he's running out here. Shout out to Davey.
I'm calling Davey right now.
I just texted him about Nicki.
I think it was Davey.
I texted him about Nicki today.
Oh, I meant to tell you and write you back and say, hey, can you put together Friends Thanksgiving? Because he was like, hey, we should all do that before the year is up.
Say less.
Say less. Davey. Hold on. We're waiting for Davey, and then we'll leave him a message if he doesn't answer. But I'm almost sure.
Bro, we left out so many messages today.
And have you noticed no one's called us back? Hold on. Let's leave Davey a message. Davey, okay, so we're recording Nessa Off Air podcast, and we're reminiscing about like some of the greatest times ever. You gave me my first Drake interview, right? I'm almost sure. Katrina,
hey, Davey.
Call us back, but I need confirmation, but I'm almost sure it was you. But we love you. Okay, bye. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. I think just seeing their trajectory, seeing how we've come along in our careers and still being here. And it's not just that. You knew they were special. I knew Nicki could rap and she had a verse. That's why the impact they made at that time and throughout their career showed that Nicki could go away for a little bit and come back and still be received. There's people that have tried to come back and are not received. Like she is still, I was checking for her music.
Oh, for sure.
Cole dropped something now.
Instant, I'm on it.
Still checking for it. And the thing is, they haven't outgrown whatever demographic they're trying to reach. Because there's some rappers or whomever, artists, they end up having to reach a whole different demo, a whole different platform.
I just think their music is so undeniable that it is talking to people in separate ways.
Yeah.
Whether you are a fan from day one or whether you are a more recent fan, it is speaking to you in a different way. Whatever language it is, it's resonating with people. And it shows, again, that's why I keep saying it's undeniable talent. And also, can I say, J. Cole, to me, his pen game in general, he just keeps on getting better and better.
It's so good.
Like, and not to say he wasn't already great. Like, he's tapping into a different space, in my opinion, that, and I truly believe that Cole has nothing to prove.
Yeah, I love seeing him on records with T Grizzly, Young Thug, like
he's doing whatever he
21
wants.
Savage, sounding.
And I think he is, if anything, I think this is a couple years ago, I feel like he's pushed himself to, be in spaces that he normally wouldn't be, right? I feel like that's a couple years ago in that sense.
Yeah.
But now I feel like he does whatever he wants to do because he just wants to do it.
Yeah.
And it's that freedom that I think that has helped him unlock something in his mind to write in a different capacity.
Right.
I really believe this. I don't know where that's coming from, but there's something magical in that aspect.
For sure.
I think Nicki is proving her resiliency, her
her
consistency,
talent.
and her undeniable talent and how much she cares.
Yeah.
Right? Kendrick, he is here with a great body of work.
Yep.
And, you know, for me, I wasn't always, hey, right when Kendrick dropped, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
I would eventually turn it on, but it wasn't instant like when Nicki came with something, right? But Kendrick, to me, has gotten even more artistic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, he was already artistic before, and he was so creative, one of the best with words. I mean, however way he painted that picture, he took you to a space. He gave you experiences.
Yeah.
He is giving you 3D experiences now, right? You look at Drake. To me, nothing can top Drake's catalog.
Best catalog.
And I think that people need to stop playing with his name.
Yeah.
And I think we need to take and extract. I know it's hard for people to extract him and Kendrick going back and forth. It is not the demise of Drake.
No.
So let's take that part out and let's just focus on Drake's body of work. How could you even question it?
You can't. And that's why going back to J. Cole and Inevitable, he even talked about, like, just kind of going back to that time frame, he talked about listening to Drake's So Far Gone mixtape.
Right.
My favorite Drake mixtape, right? Actually, I don't know. He had a couple more, but this was the one for me. This one made me a Drake fan. He talked about how he listened to it. He was also in the same kind of career trajectory at the time.
They're on this bubble coming up and it's
dropping
a grind.
mixtapes. But the thing that Cole wanted to do was save all his bangers for his album.
Right.
But then he heard So Far Gone and he was like, yo, this is a mixtape and Drake is dropping bangers on the mixtape.
Right.
It made J. Cole reposition how he was going to put out his mixtapes. And bam, you got the come up, the warm up, Friday Night Lights. You have bangers now when people used to save it. And then you think about lines like people getting Grammys off a mixtape, which bitch, you know, made a million off a mixtape. Like, mixtapes are now viable projects that people put out as a project to the world that can get a Grammy. Before, they used to just be your rap on someone else's beat throwaway records.
No.
They're not that. And this was the era of that.
And you know what I love about J. Cole really reflecting part of this audio series?
Yeah.
Is that he is not scared to give credit and props to people, right?
Yes.
Despite what is all that's been happening between him and Drake and Kendrick and blah, blah, blah. And J. Cole, to me, did the most mature thing possible is listen to his spirit and not engage in something that he didn't feel was his calling, right?
Yeah.
And to be that mature to realize that is just like a different level of like self-reflection. But anyways, to hear him talk, self-reflecting, remembering moments from that time and being honest and vulnerable in the conversation and not trying to downplay what Drake's mixtape did for him at that time.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Because a lot of times people don't want to share that.
And you know what, too? You could tell that Cole is in such a good spot within himself that he could talk about Drake and he could talk about Kendrick. Like, he feels no ways about either of them in whatever they might have to say about him, regardless of how this beef transpired or turned out, or, you know, how it ended up. And by the beef, I mean, in the beginning, it was the three of them. It was a whole big three situation.
The whole back and forth.
Right? Yeah. And how he has still been able to come out, say whatever he wants with a clear conscience.
Isn't that so special?
Yeah. And, you know, you could see it. Drake and Kendrick don't like each other. Like, you don't got to be in this beef. It's not for you.
And here's the thing. To witness that.
Yeah.
And to get great music. I mean, what a time. I think, unfortunately, because everything's moving so fast, we're on our phones, we're scrolling, we're looking for a refresh. We are not really appreciating the greatness that we are seeing. J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake, Nicki Minaj.
Right.
And that's from our era. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Because before them, for us, it was listening to Tupac as kids, right? And hearing those moments. It was Eminem all over MTV.
Right.
Right? And that just seems so far away, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we were kids when all that was happening.
Yeah.
Where I felt like we were adults,
right?
Like young adults enjoying Kendrick, Drake, Nicki, and J. Cole. And so to see them years later in this game being relentless with their work, I don't know. I'm just happy. And I think people need to take a second and realize what we are getting. The same way we look at artists from back in the day, quote unquote, and
Yeah.
we like they're revered in that way.
Yeah.
We're having that right now.
I know.
We are seeing that happen.
We're so lucky. You know, of all those 4 that we mentioned, the combination, only Kendrick and Nicki have not done something together. You think about it. All the rest of them have done a lot.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Cole was on Nicki's.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Drake obviously and Nicki.
Right.
Drake and Kendrick. Drake
Right.
and Cole and Kendrick.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever see a Kendrick and Nicki.
I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. I
don't know.
Post everything that's happened, but
Yeah.
you know, we'll say that for a different episode. I mean, at this point, I've talked about it.
Right. I just love that those are like our big 4.
And that's my point. I think we're so quick to try to diminish them because a lot of times people are online. We're just making it seem like it's whatever talent, it's so and so. No, take a minute to realize what is happening, who they are, and their longevity in the game. And I
Right.
think we should appreciate them as that, just like we would appreciate Tupac, just like we
Right.
would appreciate DMX. And we do appreciate the greats that came
right.
before when we were children. Let us appreciate what we have and what we've witnessed as young adults, and to see them still thriving too now. Man, music's good.
Let's talk about this new era real quick. There's one more record drop that we were excited about. Cordae.
Yes, the Crossroads, great body of work. Now, let's talk about up and coming artists. He's not an up and coming artist,
Yeah,
but he's
but-
part of the younger.
The new generation
Yes.
after Cole, Kendrick, Drake,
Absolutely.
Nicki.
I mean, when I say I'm so proud and I
sounds
just love his work.
Yeah.
The Crossroads is out. And what I loved about it, he went on different interviews and talked about really the push behind this album and what
Yeah.
he was trying to do. And it was the advice that Lil Wayne gave him about pushing his pen forward in the sense of create every song like nobody's heard you before, right? Basically reintroduce yourself on every single song.
He can rap,
Assume
too.
that whoever's listening to it does not know who you are. So let them know what time it is,
He
right?
can rap too.
Cordae, absolutely. You
sounds
want
good.
quality. You want great work.
Yeah.
Listen to Cordae, all of his projects, but the Crossroads is out now. And it was so great, the visual, because he was talking about in his song about his mom sampled her in his song. And I just thought it was cute, the story about her wanting to be an artist, but then her obviously having to do what she's got to do for her family, decided to put that on the side so that she can make sure she's there for her family, as all moms do, to be honest. The sacrifices that are made.
That's right.
And here Cordae is paying it forward, using her, sampling her voice on his song.
I hope he
and
gets
the
a
video
Grammy.
is so beautiful.
I hope he gets a Grammy so that she gets a Grammy on that.
Wow, that would be really amazing. But you were just sharing a story about this.
Yeah, and on one of our previous episodes, we talked about how Cordae in his song 06 Dreamin'
Yeah.
raps about how his mom was on Making the Band.
Making the band.
Making the Band.
Diddy the Band?
I was watching Making
my
DABAND Making the Band. Yes.
Wow.
I
Okay, well,
know.
what happened? You can't just say that just
Oh,
in case somebody didn't listen to
I'm
the
sorry,
last
I'm
episode.
sorry. So she
Their mind can go into places.
She was on Making the Band, but she did not make it to stay in the house.
Got
she was
it.
part of the audition process, but she was on the TV like for a quick
Let me
second.
see how Cordae. Let me look up his mom.
I was on Twitter just trying to figure out who she was after because I watched Making the Band. Like,
Oh, I love
see, she made it to the
this.
third episode, was taking a stand.
Oh my gosh. I pulled this up and it's like, I think Essence did a
So
Celebrity Moms at the Grammys. I don't know when this article came out, but
He was
look who's
nominated
on-
for his last album.
Look, everyone who brought their mom. Wait, hold on. Oh,
That's cute.
she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's young, man.
Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. Yeah.
I love it. New music, and I love seeing all the people that we loved.
Yep.
So
Do their thing and still win and still
win,
keep
still win.
going and not letting up and forcing other artists to step their
this
game
new
up.
generation is not going to hit until this big four retires or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Okay. So let's enjoy this time. I love it. Also, speaking of newer artists, Jack Harlow,
Jack Harlow dropped something. It's interesting.
and he can
It
rap.
has a different vibe. It can rap. Tyler, the Creator, dropped a project.
I mean, and not just any project. Chromacopia has been #1 for 3 weeks as of the time we're having this podcast.
Yep.
Who knows if that's going to change? But, even Tyler, the Creator's trajectory.
Yep. I love D.R.T.C.
Yeah. Oh, you love, yeah.
You know who I want to see do an album? D.R.T.C and DOJA CAT.
That would be very nice.
That would be fire.
Very creative. Very, you know what? They'd give us an experience.
They would.
And I think they're friends in real life, right? I don't know who's friends. You know what? Let me not assume.
Yeah.
We're not in the industry enough in that capacity to know who's like really friends or not. But I thought they were like.
They were on tour together. DOJA CAT and D.R.T.C was on tour with DOJA CAT and Ice Spice.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
And Doja, I feel like she's been a little bit quiet lately, but I feel like she's going to gear up for some new music too. Part of also the younger artists who honestly, Doja Cat is extremely talented. We'll have a different discussion a different day, but all the people we just talked about, be it Cordae, be it Doja Cat, be it Jack Harlow, listen, they're good.
They're good. 2025 though is going to be
Doechii, good, great.
another year of the woman because Nicki's going to drop. She said she's dropping an album.
Yep.
CARDI B's dropping an album.
That's right.
SAWEETIE's dropping an album.
That's right.
DOJA CAT, I believe, is dropping an album.
I hope so. Ooh, let's close it out.
Now we need Death Row Thug Cuties.
Death Row Thug Cuties.
They need to drop an album next year.
Let's go.
Put me on it. Let's win this Grammy album of the year.
Right. Oh, yeah. By the way, run it up, Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
It's Mariah time.